An island full of gigantic creatures, some of prehistoric origin and a handful of stranded humans fighting for their survival. Welcome to Skull Island. What? It is not Skull Island? No giant ape? Well, okay then. Hi there, it's Micha and welcome to Crocodile Island. If you like to find out more about this movie, then join me for this review video. After the funeral of her mother in Australia, a young woman and her estranged father head home to China. Also on board, her boyfriend, whom the father hadn't met before. Passing over the Dragon Triangle, described to us as the Asian equivalent of the Bermuda Triangle, the plane runs into a swarm of pterodactyls and goes down. With most of the passengers dying in the crash, the survivors soon learn that this island is not your typical paradise. But instead crawls with dangerous animals, some of gigantic proportions. As the group is thinned down by the creatures, our heroes also have to fight through their own personal issues. Well, let's start by saying that I usually have a quick look into the trailer before I decide to watch a movie. This is especially true if it is a low-budget flick, as you usually can see straight away if the production values and the visuals totally suck or not, and if the effects look solid. I did that here too before the movie went on my to-watch list. But I must have only skimmed through, which I sometimes do to not spoil myself with too much details they share in the trailer. I'm saying this because, even without exaggeration, just 1 minute into the movie I was telling myself, this was a mistake. The film starts with two pilots in 1945, transporting radioactive material and crashing into the flying reptiles the same way the other plane will do later. They talk English but are dubbed in one of the worst dubbing efforts I ever saw.
In 1945, we won the war, and now the beauties at home are awaiting us.
They also don't really look like belonging into the 1940s, which is why the pilot references the actual year in his first line of dialogue. Great writing. Their plane was CGI, and really bad CGI at that, and the same is true for the pterodactyls.
What the hell is that?
That's just one ugly-ass bird.
This first impression was unfortunately true. The effects are terrible in this one. And a thing you need to know about me, I can't deal with shoddy CGI. Never could. I'm a child of the 80s, so I prefer practical effects and can forgive shortcomings there. With computer effects, I'm less forgiving. They have to look convincing, otherwise I am thrown out of a plot. Not that there was a lot of plot to be thrown out of, but more on that later. I just didn't expect this, as the parts of the trailer I saw didn't look that bad, and I have come to expect proper CGI from Chinese movies, which is usually true for blockbusters. As this movie was quite successful in its home market, I assumed it to fit that mold, but boy was I wrong. There are a handful of shots that look halfway decent, and those are the ones that, for plain reasons, made it into the trailer. Otherwise, they only edited split-second moments into the promo. Well, good job there. You got me. I really tried to enjoy the movie though, concentrating on the plot, pushing through the effect shots. The plot though was also mind-bogglingly weak. In the center was a 19-year-old woman who was apparently forced to return home with her father after having lived with her mother in Australia for years. Why? You are 19, so just live on your own. Together with her boyfriend, an apartment should have been affordable. However, the father now has to prove himself to his daughter, which is tough under the circumstances, but could have made for a compelling storyline. However, for no good reason, the guy is very controlling and rude, so more focus is on the daughter also having to prove herself to him, which felt weird. Also, he treats her boyfriend like shit, so that poor dude has to prove himself too, because, I guess, respect is expected for the older person while the younger one deserves none. One subplot is about the daughter smoking, which the father disapproves of, so at the end of the action she takes the cigarettes and throws them away. It is this kind of in-your-face morality that you get presented throughout the movie. There's a couple that are expecting and argue about who should name the baby. At one point he sacrifices himself, without there being an actual need to do so, with his dying words being, "You name the baby!" Wow, another lesson learned. Not sure though how many of those tropes around redemption and sacrifice in this movie are based in the culture, but I would assume many people in the Chinese audience also thought this to be a bit much. And I could even keep going on about this with what a social media influencer has coming, as well as a nihilistic guy with clear rapist vibes, but let's talk instead about the rest of the plot. They find the diary of the World War II pilots and the radioactive material, which is safe now as apparently, without knowing its half-life, 75 years is always enough for everyone to assume it is not dangerous anymore. They then speculate that the material made the creatures on the island mutate, which by the way are only the eponymous crocodiles, though some are regular sized, and some giant spiders. So the material was radioactive enough for that. Okay. Still, where does the pterodactyls came from? And why did the pilots didn't die from radiation but were killed by the animals? Okay, to be fair, it was just the protagonist's theory, and they were not that bright, but still, come on. You wrote that script. They then use the pilot's radio to call for help, which first of all still works. Wow. And that pretty much straight away. And after 5 seconds, they already have the rescue team on the other end.
Hello? Hello? Yes, we're the survivors of flight FGZ-261. Yes, in the Dragon Triangle Sea.
Makes you wonder why the pilots haven't used their own radio but left it in the wreckage. After that, they decide to head to the side of the island where the rescue team will come from. Again, why? Just stay where you are and try to be safe. They will find you. On their way, they lose further survivors. They even cross a crocodile-infested river with the expected outcome. I could go on, but let's just say the screenplay was also subpar. The acting overall was passable though, with some doing a pretty fine job with what they were given. As all effects were done in post-production, I guess they were as disappointed by the end result as us, the viewer. However, they did read the script, so I am not too sorry for them. The only person that really has my sympathy though is the cinematographer, who did a great job making the movie look good, until his imagery was violated by the dated CGI. One last call out. I watched the movie in Mandarin with German subtitles, though I doubt that the original dialogue was stellar based on the situations the screenplay presented, but I guess they at least sounded like actual people would be talking with each other. That can't be said about the German subtitles. There the dialogue felt so artificial and inorganic, I thought they just ran the screenplay through Google Translate, which in all honesty, I would even consider to be a possibility. And with that being said, let's get to the rating, but before we go there, let me ask you to like and share this video if you enjoyed it so far. And if you're not a subscriber yet, maybe consider to change that. By also hitting the notification bell, you will get a heads up for most of my new videos. Now for the rating. I know, I might have been very harsh in the review part, but I really hate bad CGI. And if on top of it there is also thoughtless moral that is shoved down my throat, it's a bit much. The plot is full of holes and the characters behave completely stereotypical, but also in unrelatable ways. Though most actors did their best and the camera work was solid, those efforts couldn't make up for the other shortcomings. I didn't hate the movie, but will for sure never watch it again, in case that helps you with your own placement of this flick. I wouldn't say you should avoid it at all costs, because if you have no issue with bad CGI, it may not feel like a complete letdown for you. But the script is also a tough nut to swallow. For you this may be a 3 out of 10 points, something you can watch but can also skip. After struggling a bit where to place it, for me this is a 2 out of 10 points, as it felt like a waste of time. But it at least made for a, hopefully, entertaining review video. Without the camera work being solid, I would have placed it even lower though. What about you? Have you seen this one and agree, or did you like it? How do you feel about bad CGI? Do you also react badly to forced in morals? Whatever you like to share, let me know in the comments. So much for now, see you next time and thanks for watching. They also don't really look like belonging into the 1940s, which is why the pilot references. Their plane was CGI, a really bad CGI at that. Wow, another lesson learned. And I could keep getting